You are listening to The Guide on Setting and Going After Goals by Nick Mitchell. Okay, music's over. But to get serious, over the next 7 days, we'll be going over a perfect game plan for you to go after your next big goal. So get cozy, get ready, and let's get started.
Introduction: The importance of goals in our lives. When I was 18 and leaving high school, I thought for sure that I'd make it big at one of the following things: become a professional athlete, make a hit song, go to college and get a good job, or something like that. But 4 years later, it turned out that I dropped out of college after 2 years. Athletics didn't work out for me past college, and my legendary mixtape Dreams of Nick Lovin' never took off. This left me feeling like I had no way to reach the things I wanted in life, and that wasn't fun. Then I read a book called Principles by Ray Dalio that explained the idea of setting and going after goals to reach success. It was the best solution I had heard by far, so I ran with it. It was about 4 years ago that I started, and I've had a goal in my life since then. Chasing goals has been the one thing that's made the most impact in me becoming decently successful over the last few years, which is an improvement from before. So the rest of the introduction will explain why doing this has been so beneficial for me and why it might be beneficial for you too. Reason number 1, it gives me a route to success. Once I started to get the hang of going after goals, naturally I thought, how do I use this to get money? So I set a goal to get my first job. A bunch of resume updates and job applications later, I did it. Then a while after that, I set a goal to get out of the house. I was working from home and talk to more women. This led to me meeting a girl who became my serious girlfriend for about 2 years. After that, I set a goal to make my life more organized. I did that too, and it gave me more peace of mind than I ever had before. It also made me a lot more productive. Writing this book has been one of the results of that extra productivity. All that said, I finally found a way to reach success over time in terms of life and money, and it doesn't require me to go back to college, grow to 7 feet tall by tomorrow, or make a hit song. So if you're someone who feels like there's no route you can take to reach the life you want, setting a goal and going for it can at very least be an option. When I felt like I had no options, finding that out gave me a lot of hope. Reason 2, it gives my days more purpose. Always having a big life goal that I'm working towards over the last few years has definitely given my days and weeks a greater sense of purpose. It's because I know that as time passes, I'm moving towards something that's important to me and that I think is going to make my life better. Before I started going for goals, I felt like I was getting up in the morning and doing things like going to work, hanging out and stuff like that, and even working hard, but I wasn't going anywhere in life. Instead of advancing, I felt like I was stagnant and just moving in place. Now that I know I'm in motion is something I care a lot about, I think it's made my days feel a lot more meaningful. Reason 3, it gives me problems to solve. Have you ever set out to do something, started making progress, then an unexpected problem popped up and ruined all that progress you made? This happens all the time when you're going for a goal, and while these problems that stand in the way of hitting goals can be very annoying and painful, finding solutions to get around them has been one of the most fulfilling things in the world for me. It just feels really good to figure something out that helps me overcome a tough obstacle, especially when I know this is going to get me closer to the goal that I have. As well, once I find the solution to one problem, I've gotten into the habit of writing the solution down so I could use it to help me with similar problems later. After a few years of making progress this way, I've found myself a lot more knowledgeable and a lot less stagnant. Reason number 4, the effort gives me fulfillment. It takes hard work for a person to set out to do something over a long period of time and actually push through to completion. Hard work isn't always fun, but even on the days when making progress isn't fun, I still feel good in the end because it feels good to give effort. It's the same as when you go to exercise. You feel super tired and beat down while you're doing it, but when you're done, you feel great. Also, I think that there aren't too many things more fulfilling in life than to see you finish a goal. To set a goal and see that you successfully went after it and got it done is cool. And it's the ultimate confidence boost because you know that you can accomplish tough things. With that said, let's get started with day one of setting your big goal. Day one. What are your goals? What are your biggest goals in life right now? On a piece of paper or notes page on your phone, write down whatever it is that you want or the end result you're looking for. This might range from personal achievements to professional aspirations, just for motivational purposes. Here's some of my more realistic personal examples. First, I want to get 8-pack abs. Then I want to beat Superman in a foot race. I think it'd be cool to write a best-selling book, kind of like this. Then it'd be also cool to cure all world diseases. I think that'd be helpful. After that, I want to get scouted by Dos Equis to be the next world's most interesting man. And just for fun, I was inspired by Mike Tyson. I want to wrestle the tiger and win. And last but not least, it'd be cool to be able to speak Spanish. So if you need help remembering the things that you want or that are goals for you, here are a few life categories that I tend to focus on regularly. Try to write down one thing you really want for each of the categories. First, physical health, then mental health, then money, then relationships, either work or personal, then giving, and finally learning. And that's it for day one. Short, right? Well, don't worry. The next chapter will have a lot more. For day two, we'll take your list of goals and start to narrow it down. Day two, avoid mistake number one, setting goals that are too realistic. Have you ever set a big goal that you knew would change your life for the better, but you stopped chasing it because it was too boring? For me, this always happens when I set a goal that's too realistic and that doesn't make me excited when I think about the outcome. Luckily, there's a pretty simple solution I found to make sure I don't set goals that are too realistic and that aren't exciting enough. I'll explain that solution plus the reasons that I found it to be beneficial to go for big, exciting goals rather than realistic ones in the rest of this chapter. Reason 1. Going after a big goal keeps me motivated. Things that are challenging are interesting. Think about playing a random game on your phone. If you played the game on the easiest difficulty, you could probably dominate and win every time. But eventually, that would get boring because even though you're winning, it's not difficult at all. Now, if you switch the game to the highest difficulty, you're increasing your chances of losing. But it would still be more fun to play because it's more challenging, and a win that you really had to fight for feels great. It's the same thing when setting goals. Reason 2. When I reach the goal I set, I'm going to feel like I should have gone for more. The last goal I set was to get a job that would pay me a specific salary I really wanted. This specific salary was more than I had ever made from a job before, but it was still a safe number. I thought about going for a job that would pay an even higher salary, but I felt like it would be too unrealistic. A few months later, I went on to get a job exactly at the salary amount I had originally set. When I realized that the job I found paid the exact amount I asked for, it made me wonder, what if I had set a goal at the higher amount? Would I have gotten that too? To be honest, I felt pretty happy but goofy at the same time, and you just never want to feel that way. Reason 3. Doing something I've never done before seems like the winning formula. Look around. We live in a time where the most successful things are ones that haven't been done before. Whoever set the goal to build ChatGPT was not thinking realistically. You can say the same thing about whoever came up with Bitcoin, and you can say the same thing about anything Elon Musk is involved with besides Twitter. These are times where things you'd only see in a movie or maybe haven't even imagined before are becoming realities on a regular basis. These are times with people thinking outside the box and doing stuff that's never been done before. At the time of writing this, LeBron James is 39 years old and averaging 25 points and 8 assists for the NBA season. Nobody's ever seen that before. That's completely crazy and unrealistic. I personally just feel that I'd be selling myself short to see all of these people and companies accomplishing unrealistic goals they've set while I go for something safe. Reason 4. It's okay to be somewhat realistic. Now, I've done a lot of talking about setting unrealistic and exciting goals rather than realistic and boring ones. That said, you do want to be somewhat realistic in the goals you set. You don't want to set a goal that's so unrealistic it can't be achieved in a reasonable time frame. For example, let's say I had a goal to become a billionaire in the next 12 months. That's a pretty unrealistic goal, and it's something I've never done before. That's a good thing, but is it achievable in the time frame that I set of 12 months? Hell no. Even if I hit the lottery, I don't think I win $1 billion. So before I start moving towards this 12-month billionaire goal, I maybe stop and ask myself the question, is this achievable in the time frame I've set? In conclusion, look at your list of goals that you wrote down on day one. For each goal that you see, ask yourself these 2 questions. 1, is this something I haven't done before? And 2, is this achievable in the next 6 to 12 months? For any goal on your list that you can't look at and genuinely say yes to those 2 questions, take it off your list. And once you've crossed the goals off your list that are too realistic, you can move on to day 3 with what's left. Day 3. Avoid mistake number 2, going for too many goals at one time. It's not uncommon to feel especially motivated one day, get a surge of energy, and make a grand scheme for how you'll accomplish everything you ever wanted in the next 6 months. However, from personal experience, I've learned that going for too many goals at once leads me to getting none of them done at all. On the other hand, focusing on one goal at a time has proven to be not only more manageable, but I'm also more likely to finish what I set out to do. That said, if you have a bunch of things that you want to accomplish right now, you'll likely need to pick one and go after it. So the rest of this chapter will give a process for deciding which of the remaining goals on your list is most important. Step 1. Think about the goals that would bring the most happiness. With what you have left on your list of goals, ask yourself this big question from the book The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. Of the listed goals, which 20% will result in 80% of my desired outcomes and happiness? Remember my list from day one? You know, the one that started with me getting 8-pack abs. Well, for me, the 2 goals that would bring the most happiness would be to cure all world diseases and to wrestle a tiger and win. Step 2. Think about goals that address other goals. Of the answers you wrote in step 1, which of them would either directly address other goals on your original list or make them irrelevant if you got it done? This step helps figure out what goal would bring the most impact for you. For my goals, I figure that if I cure all world diseases, I'll be able to write a best-selling book about it. Then, with the money from the book, I'll be able to pay for Spanish lessons and a tiger to practice wrestling with. And eventually, with all of this going on, someone from Dos Equis has to hear about me and reach out to make me the next world's most interesting man. Good plan, right? Step 3. Pick one. Look over your answers from the previous steps. Which remaining goal stands out the most? I also heard this recently in a book that my friend Dole recommended to me called The 4 Disciplines of Execution. In which area do you most need to see a breakthrough? If you're torn between a few options, narrow it down to the top 2. Then set a timer for 15 minutes and commit to making a decision before that timer goes off. Remember, the goal you choose is for now, not for forever. And that's because you'll have plenty of opportunities to pursue other goals down the road. In conclusion of this chapter, I heard another quote once that you can have anything you want, just not everything. So with that in mind, think a lot about what things are most important to pursue and go after them. Once you pick the goal that you want to focus on, you can move on to day 4. Day 4. Avoid mistake number 3, not wording the goal well. At the time of writing this, there's only a couple more months left in the year. That means we're near the time when people start thinking about their goals and resolutions for next year. As New Year's Day continues to creep closer and closer on that calendar, you'll likely start to hear people say things like, I want to lose weight, or I want to eat better, or I want to start a business, or I want to insert something you usually hear. Those are all great things to strive for. However, because goals like I want to eat better are not worded well, people who set them are notorious for starting strong with progress towards what they want, then losing motivation and falling off within the first few months. What do I mean by not worded well? I'll use the rest of this chapter to explain. Here's 4 steps to setting and wording your goal in a way that gives you the best chances to succeed. Step 1. Don't make your goal the end result you want. Instead, make the goal whatever it would take you to get that result. At this point, you have a goal that you've chosen to focus on for the rest of the guide, which is great. But for the sake of this chapter, imagine that your goal was to get a new job. In the example of wanting to get a new job, the end result that you'd be looking for is a job. It would be easy to stop there and just say that my goal is to get a new job. However, I don't think that would be a good idea because whether or not someone decides to hire you isn't in your control. Instead, I would ask myself, in terms of getting a new job, what's not in my control and what's in my control. In this case, again, what's not in your control is whether or not someone hires you. But what is in your control is applying to places and the number of places you apply to. Seeing this, I would make the goal something like submit 100 job applications rather than making it just to get a new job. The reason this is important is that it's easy to get discouraged when you're focused on things that you can't control. Let's say I went on to apply for jobs and 30 applications into it, I still didn't have a response. If my only focus was to get a new job, I'd be discouraged because I put in a lot of effort, but I didn't see any results yet. On the other hand, if I applied to 30 places and I got no response, but my focus was on applying to 100 places instead of just getting a job, I'd be a lot more likely to still feel motivated because I completed almost a third of my goal. Even though I didn't see a job yet, I know that I was making a lot of progress. That said, in terms of your actual goal that you came to in the last chapter, answer the questions below. What's not in your control and what's in your control? Once you have a good idea of the things that are in your control, pick the one thing that will have the most impact towards you reaching the result you want. In other words, pick your version of submit applications to places. Step 2. Whatever your answer was from the end of step 1, figure out how much of it you should aim to get done. You should also ask yourself, how much of insert your answer from step 1 would I need to reach my goal? In the example of getting a new job, I chose to go with submitting 100 applications because in that case, you'd only need to land one job out of 100 applications to have met the desired result. That's just a 1% conversion, and that seems doable. In your case, what number do you feel will work for you? Step 3. When are you trying to complete the goal by? The next question to ask yourself is, when do I want to have reached my goal by? Then write it down. The point of the finish date isn't to make you stress out and feel like a failure if you don't reach your goal in time. The point is more so just to prevent you from stopping on your progress because you have no sense of urgency to keep working at it. Step 4. Write it all down in one sentence. At this point, you should know what you're focusing on, that's within your control to reach your desired result, how much of it you think you'll need to do, like a number, and when you want to have this done by. Now, to make it officially a goal, you'll just have to write those things down into one sentence. So to do this, fill in the blanks below. My goal is to insert your answer from step 2 and how much of it you're choosing to do by insert the date you chose from step 4. For example, in my case of getting a new job, the sentence will look something like, my goal is to submit 100 job applications by January 1st. Once you have your goal clearly stated in a sentence with the deadline, you're ready to move on to day 5. Day 5. Avoid mistake number 4, not tracking your progress along the way to your goal. One of the biggest and most underrated reasons that people in general start making progress on a goal and then fall off is that after we set the goal, we don't track our progress along the way to the finish line. Tracking is beneficial because it takes your focus off just getting to the end result and puts it on feeling good about the steady progress you make. So this chapter will explain how to track your progress along the way to your next goal and in just 3 steps. At this point, you have a clearly stated goal with a clear deadline. In the last chapter, for an example, we use getting a job. Well, for this chapter, we're going to use an example that's a lot less serious. Let's say I get invited to a game night, and as usual, I'm dominating every game in flawless fashion. And when I'm ready to go home, someone says, hey, you guys want to play a quick game of Uno? So I stick around and I get dealt 7 cards until, long story short, I take a brutal loss. And when I go home, I swear to myself that next time I play Uno with some friends, I'm gonna win. To be sure this happens, I download the Uno app on my phone and make it my goal to win 50 games on the highest difficulty setting in the next 2 months. Step 1. Figure out what you'll need to get done each month to stay on track. Break down your goal into manageable monthly chunks. Divide the total steps needed by the number of months it will take to achieve the goal. For my Uno comeback, if I'm aiming for 50 wins in 2 months, then I'll need 25 victories each month. Step 2. Set reminders. Set reminders on your phone for your monthly checkpoints to keep yourself accountable. I use Google Calendar. These alerts will keep you on track and prevent your goal from fading into the background. For my Uno story, the reminders might look like 25 goals done or 50 goals done at the end of the next 2 months. Step 3. Track your daily progress. Having reminders to keep you on track to reaching your goal is great, but you'll only really see that once a month. You'll also need something that can keep you motivated on a daily basis. For this, the answer is to track your progress as you do reps towards finishing the goal. Make a checklist that counts the reps you'll need to do. Here's what the checklist would look like for my Uno wins. In the book, I have it listed out, but really it'd just be a checklist with 1 wins, then 2 wins, then 3 wins, then 4 wins, then 5 wins, and so on until I would be able to check off 50 wins. Often, we lose hope in pursuing our goals because we fixate on the endpoint and disregard the big progress we've already made. That's why tracking is important, because it makes you aware of the progress you couldn't see before. So when you have some way of tracking progress towards your goal set up, you're free to move on to day 6. Day 6. Avoid mistake number 5, letting your environment work against you instead of to your advantage. When people set goals, one thing we often overlook that has a big impact on our success is environment. Our surroundings play a big role in whether we take on good habits that will help us reach our goal or stick with bad ones that ruin our progress. In this chapter, we'll explore how tweaking your environment can be the key to success and good habits. Lesson 1. Have a physical way to see your progress. Imagine playing Candy Crush without it having a map that shows what level you're on as you make progress. That's exactly what you're doing when you set a goal and go after it without tracking your progress along the way to the finish line. To really understand your progress, you need a way to track it. And even more, it helps to have a physical way to track it. To do this, make a checklist on a sheet of paper or use a dry erase marker on your bathroom mirror to see your checkpoints. This simple act keeps making steady progress towards your goal at the top of your mind and motivates you to stay on track. Another thing that's helped me a lot is to get a paper calendar, hang it up on a door in my room, and mark an X for every day that I do a repetition towards my goal. There's a rule that I got from the book Atomic Habits that you never want to skip 2 days in a row on your habit. So whatever the habit or repetition is for your goal, just make sure you don't skip more than 1 day, marking an X on your calendar. Lesson 2. Manage your physical environment. Take anything that would hurt your progress along the way to your goal out of your environment. For example, if I was trying to lose weight, I'd want to throw away any sweets that I have in my house. This can be tough if you have roommates, so just do as much as possible. On the other hand, if there was anything I could add to my environment that might help me make progress, like a motivational picture or a poster or a journal to keep me organized, even music is an underrated thing there, then I'd add it. Lesson 3. Alter your digital environment. Just like you'd add or remove things from your physical environment that affect your progress, you want to do the same thing for your digital environment too. In the example of me wanting to lose weight, I delete the DoorDash app on my phone or any other apps that make it easy for me to eat out. Also, you can add things to your phone like widgets and notes that keep you motivated. In conclusion, your environment can be something that either helps make or break your progress towards the goal that you chose. So by making some simple changes, you can use your surroundings to your advantage rather than to your detriment. So go make some changes and watch as your surroundings become a friend in helping you achieve your big goal. Day 7. Avoid mistake number 6. Not sharing with others how you accomplish the goal when you do it. One common mistake people make when working towards their goals is not sharing what they learned along the way with others. Sharing done in the right way can give you a lot of motivation because, 1, it's fun to reflect on your experiences as you make progress, and 2, it's even more fun to know you might be helping someone with your experiences. So by skipping out on sharing, you might be skipping out on a lot of the motivation you need to finish your goal. By the end of this chapter, you'll know how to share your progress in a way that benefits both you and others. Step 1. Share your progress as you make it. A good practice is to reflect on your daily progress. At the end of each day, ask yourself, what is something cool that I learned today around my goal or just in general? Then store your answers on a dedicated notes page in your phone. If you don't have anything around your goal that you learned that day because you didn't make any progress, then doing this would be an extra reminder that you need to keep working at it. From there, you can share your daily lessons on social media. When you're ready, just copy and paste from your notes. Doing this not only helps you reflect on your progress, but it also makes achieving your goal more fun and interesting. Step 2. Document your journey with photos and videos. In addition to answering the question about what you learned, take pictures or videos whenever possible while you're making progress towards your goal. Then store these visuals on the same notes page where you store your daily reflections. I got this idea from the book Show Your Work by Austin Kleon. Writing in a journal, drawing, or recording videos around your progress can make the process more fun, but it also gives you a lot more stuff that you can share. Step 3. Share your lessons after achieving your goal. So far, we talked about how to share your progress while you're still going for your goal, but the best insight you can share on how to reach the goal you're going for will probably come after you've done it. So when you've gotten to that point, I believe it's always a good idea to share what you've learned in a blog post or a video. This not only helps others who are striving towards similar goals, but also allows you to reflect on your journey. Now, if you're thinking, how the French toaster sticks do I make a blog post? No worries. I'm leaving an outline that you can use to make one for yourself. It's the same outline I use to make my own blog post, and I even use it to make the chapters in this book. So you'll just have to fill out what's below, and in the book or ebook, I put the outline, so just check it out there. When you're done with this outline, if you need some assistance to make it into a more complete blog post, this is where you use ChatGPT. You'll just need to type in the prompt, please turn the following outline into a blog post, then copy and paste your completed outline after the prompt and generate an answer. The AI answers can sometimes sound a lot more formal than how you'd actually speak. So if this is the case for whatever ChatGPT generates as your blog post, just ask it to please rewrite the answer to sound less professional. And from there, you'll have at least a good draft to start with. In conclusion, sharing your progress and lessons learned as you work towards your goals can be a powerful motivator and a great way to help others. Also, it's just enjoyable and fulfilling. So at the end of the day today, before you go to sleep, ask yourself, what's something cool that I learned today around my goal or in general? Then write your answer down on a notes page in your phone and start to post on a regular basis from there. Bonus. Avoid mistake number 7, not using problems that come along the way to your goals as opportunities. Stop. Take a second and think about 1 to 3 of the coolest things you've ever accomplished in your whole life. Let it sink in. Now, of the accomplishments that you thought of, did any of them come without problems or challenges along the way? Unless you're perfect, and no offense, but I bet you are not, the answer is no. The tough reality is that problems always come along with striving for big goals in life. There's the saying, more money, more problems. Well, when you set a big goal and start moving towards it, you might as well be a billionaire because problems will definitely come to you. Sometimes it can be pretty overwhelming, but fortunately, there's a process that helps us to get around those things. I mostly got it from the books Principles by Ray Dalio and Work the System by Sam Carpenter. And I've used the process over the last few years to deal with the majority of the problems I come across in life, and it's always helped. So by the end of this chapter, you'll know how to use it too, and you'll have a process for getting around the problems that come up along the way to your goal. Step 1. Write down what the problem is. When problems come up along the way to your goal, or just generally in life, and they always do, don't spend too much time focusing on the negative result or being upset about it. Instead, stop and think, is there anything I can do about it right now? If there's anything you can do to solve the problem or deal with it right then and there, do it. Otherwise, move on to step 2 below. Step 2. Pick the most important problems to solve. Whenever I come across a problem that I can't solve right then and there, I try to always write it down somewhere. I have a list on my phone. Then at the end of the week, I come back to the list of problems that I've written down. For example, these are just a few random problems, but I've been going to sleep too late. I haven't been getting to work early enough. I got a mole on my back, and I forgot the password to my HBO Max account. Now, if there's more than 5 problems, I'll narrow the list down to my top 5. So this is where you can write down your top 5 problems. Go ahead and do that here. Step 3. Test out the solutions you came to. From there, I'll pick the number 1 biggest problem on the list. For some problems, the solution is pretty straightforward and it's not something you have to find. For example, if my biggest problem was I forgot to cancel my Netflix subscription, the solution would just be to log into Netflix and change the subscription plan. But for other problems, the solution isn't so straightforward and you might have to think through it. For example, if my biggest problem was I haven't been to the gym in a month, I'd want to figure out what's stopping me from going and how to get around that. In these cases, answer the set of questions below in order to find the solution. Number 1, what's the problem? Number 2, why is this a problem? Number 3, what's the result that I need or that I'm looking for? Number 4, what actions or inactions, only mine, got me to where I am now? Number 5, what's the solution? And number 6, how will I get this done? For most problems, I can always come to some sort of a solution by the end of answering those questions. And it feels great because each time I find a solution to one of these problems and apply it, I'm preventing that same problem from happening to me again in the future. If you can consistently solve just one problem in your work or personal life per week and apply the solution that you found, by the end of the year, you'll have a lot less problems than you had at the start. Step 4, document the solutions that work. After I found the solution and successfully tried it out, the next step is to write it down somewhere. Personally, I have a list of solutions that I've found over time. For example, to get around my problem of going to sleep too late, I can turn off all my electronics by 11 p.m. if I want to go to sleep on time. To get around my problem of not getting to work early enough, I can set my alarm to leave for work to be 15 minutes before the time I usually leave, and that keep me from getting there late. To get around the problem of forgetting my password to HBO Max, I could have a handwritten list of passwords so I don't keep forgetting them, and I hide the list somewhere really safe so, nobody else finds it. And, for the mold thing, I don't really know what to do around that. So if anyone has a suggestion, let me know. As well, I've always found it helpful to add instructions along with any solution I write down. That way, 1, if I ever have to come back and use the solution again, I can just look at the instructions and do it easily instead of having to start over on figuring it out. And 2, if someone else has to do the thing, they can just use the instructions and figure it out much easier than they would have on their own. If your solution is something that you're getting done on a laptop or a phone, you can use a screen recorder app to record yourself while demonstrating it instead of writing down the instructions. For things that require a laptop, I personally use a website called Loom. It lets you record your computer screen and voice while you browse and then download the video when you're done. For things that require a phone, I just use a screen recorder, so you can search screen recorder on the App Store. And if there isn't one, then there's probably one built into your phone. One of those will work. Step 5, use what you documented to solve problems faster in the future. Now that I have a list of solutions, whenever I go to solve one of the problems I've written down throughout the week, I ask myself, what solutions most relate to this problem? Once I found the solutions, I ask myself, of the solutions here that are relevant to my problem, did I use them at all? Yes or no? If there's anything that I didn't do, I know that trying it out is a good start to solving my current problem. Lastly, as the stack of solutions and instructions gets larger, I found it really helpful to divide them into common categories and make a folder on Google Drive of each category. The categories I use are actually the same ones that I listed on day 1 when you were listing your goals. So those are physical health, mental health, money, relationships, both work and personal, giving, and learning. So if you ever make a screen recording on how to do a task, you can upload it to the folder for the category it most relates to. This way, if someone needs a tutorial on something, they can find it in the folder. And that's it. That's the end of the guide. Thank you for making it through this with me. I'm really hopeful that this helped you or is going to help you reach your goal. And I wish you the best with accomplishing your big goal.